Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Raha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostle and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and the elect. I'm Ari Azabat at a GMS Dallas camp, and I'm entitled this lesson here, Yahawashai hears the elect, daily as we, pray, which we should be doing on a daily basis, of the downfall of Babylon the Great. We have our own, trials and tribulations that we go through, whether it's on your job, although we in Babylon the Great, we still, have to long suffer. So sometimes we need help in different areas, different brothers and sisters, dealing with ailments, whether it's finances, getting things in order, because we haven't always been walking in order. When you woke up to this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which is this truth, the first thing we do and learn is, learn the milk, and after you start learning, it's time to start applying. And that's where wisdom come in and experience. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into Psalms 28. And it reads, "Unto thee will I cry, O Yahweh, my rock. Be not silent to me, lest if thou be silent to me, I become like them that go down into the pit." And this is, David, crying and sighing, being under subjection, unto the heathens, So, just like David cried and sighed unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai, we also have to do the same, okay? And that comes, by experience, and you begin to, hate the wicked and the evil that's in this world. And that's how David was. You understand? He has the wisdom, knowledge, and standing, which is this truth. Don't like to see his people in captivity and being trodden down by the enemies. Okay. So, this is something we should be doing daily, is praying, which is crying and sighing the downfall of this place, and also believing in what you're praying for, okay, without wavering. All right. Verse 2, and it reads, "Hear the voice of my supplications when I cry unto thee, when I lift up my hands toward the holy oracle." All right. And when you look up the word supplications, that word is going into, asking, seeking, and entreating. All right. So that's, part of being diligent when you praying and believing in what you're praying for, crying and sighing, and when it reads, "When I lift up my hands towards the holy oracle," which is the holy sanctuary, that's these scriptures, this truth, that you meditating on, believing in what it says, that deliverance. All right. And let me get a couple of precepts to, that goes into this. Let's get Psalms 138. Let's get that. Psalms 138 and verse 2. And it reads, "I will worship toward the holy temple, thy holy temple, and praise thy name for thy loving kindness and for thy truth." That's those oracles. "For thou hast magnified thy word above all thy name." And all the promises that's concerning Israel, David believed and understand that, the throne of David will be established, in spite of, the time he's in at that time period, with his enemies. Okay. So, we have to have that same faith when we praying and believing, in this time, in these last days, because, um, our enemy, which are starting with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and other heathen nations, we're under subjection to them. Okay, we don't have a military to come fight for us, that's on earth right now. YAHAWASHI, that's our military. And that's what we're waiting on, patiently waiting on, that you read about in Revelation chapter 13. That's what the saints are patiently waiting on. So until then, we're going to have to, continue to be encouraged and be ready for long suffering, and have patience. Okay. All right. Verse 3, and it reads, oh, let me get another precept starting from verse 2. All right. Let me get another one in the book of Acts. Let's get that Acts chapter 7 and verse 38. And it reads, this is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's who our fathers are, okay? That's to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who received the lively oracles to give unto us, all right? So who was given the lively oracles, okay? That was in the wilderness at Mount Sinai when Moses brought down the stones, with the commandments written on them. All right. It was the Israelites. So that's what we should be meditating on, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding here. Okay. So that's, backing David up in Psalms 2, those oracles, which is the scriptures. All right. And I'm going to get one more, and then we'll get back to Psalms chapter 28. All right, this is Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 12. And it reads, for when the time ye ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High. You see, and that's the milk, the basics of these scriptures. We must be taught by a teacher. And that started with the names, having the correct names, Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI. All right. It's not Christ, God, and Jesus. That's part of the milk. You got to know the names of Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI. Yahweh the Father, he is. Bahashem in the name. YAHAWASHI, he delivers or he saves. All right. And become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat, So the most important thing when you come into this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is getting the milk, understanding the basics, okay? Not being caught up, into the worldly things, that some of the other camps are caught up into, and not having the true understanding. But, you must be taught by your teachers. And like we do here at GMS, starting with our apostles, bishops, and elders on down, we have order here. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Psalms chapter 28. And let's grab verse 3. And it reads, draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their heart. And everyone understands who this is. This is strictly talking about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief in their hearts. And that's what he did, with coming over here to the Americas with Gad, the so-called Native Americans. Okay. broke every peace treaty. You know, Gad had showed them how to survive in the land. You know, taught them how to, garden, do all of those things. And what did Esau do? Turn around and committed genocide. Gave them um, um, blankets with I forgot that disease. I can't even think of it right now. But that's what he do. He brought pestilence unto them. You see. So this devil can't be trusted. And let's get to go on that even more. Let's grab Sirach, because that's the spirit of this devil. Okay, let's get Sirach chapter 12, and we'll start from verse 10, and it reads, Sirach 12 and 10. And it reads, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Okay. So this is why this man is wicked, as the scripture said here in Psalms 28, it says, draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their heart. And that's what this man is all about. He's out to steal, kill, and destroy. All he does is rape, rob, and murder, and colonize, and try to put everyone in captivity. And that was part of his blessing, is living by the sword. You see, so you can't trust this devil. Again, our people are suffering. With the unrighteous decrees today that he's bringing forward, these executive orders, these tariffs, all of these things. He's that cruel Lord that the Bible speak of in Isaiah the 19th chapter, right around the 4th verse or somewhere in there. All right. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes 12 and 10, and it reads, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. So if you ever dealt with iron, you can clean it up and shine it up as much as you want. But you give it time, that rust is going to come back. And that's like his wickedness. So these devils will smile in your face and, hey, how you doing? All of those good things. Call you by your name, smile in your face, but at the same time has mischief in their heart, ready to do wickedness, ready to take your seat. Let's keep reading, and it reads, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped the looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away. Okay. You see? And you give him time that, he's going to show his wickedness. And these devils really, they don't care. They only care about you only for a need, what you can do for them. And after that, they really don't care after that. If you can make them rich, entertain them. But after those things, they still look at Jake. That's that perpetual hatred that they have toward Jake, All right. So let's go ahead and go back to Psalms 28 and verse 4, and it reads, give them according to their deeds and according to the wickedness of their endeavors. Give them after the work of their hands, render to them their desert. All right. And basically, as the scripture says, and again in Revelation 13, 9 and 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And this is basically what David is saying here. Let them drink of that cup that we've been drinking of, okay? According to their works. And that's why they're going to drink double, that you can read about in Jeremiah. I believe in Jeremiah 51, if I'm not mistaken. Let me get that. Let's get that. Okay, that's Jeremiah 49 and 12. All right. And it reads, "For thus said Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assured drunken, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished," talking about Esau Edom. "Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it." So he's going to drink of that too. All right. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he's going to, get his part in captivity. And that's what we're patiently waiting on. All right. Verse 5, it reads, because they regard not the works of Yahweh, nor the operation of his hands, he shall destroy them and not build them up, And that's going into Obadiah 1 and 18, All right. Verse 6, and it reads, blessed, matter of fact, let's kind of expound on that. That's going into Obadiah 1 and 18. Let's get it, just in case somebody, for edification's sake. And it reads here, in the house of Jacob, Obadiah 1 and 18, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, in the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh had spoken it. You see? So they're going to, the wicked, which is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is going to be eradicated after his punishment, his 1,000 years of captivity, hardcore captivity in righteousness. All right. All right, let's go ahead and get Psalms 28, and I believe we're on verse 6, and it reads, blessed be the Lord, Yahweh, because he had heard the voice of my supplication. And again, that's going into that entreating, asking, and seeking, the voice of his supplications. That's David, crying and sighing. And he believed, the word and the promises of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. So we got to have that same, mindset that David had, and that same faith, okay? And that blessed be Yahweh, because he had heard the voice of his supplication, meaning there's going to be a change too in that. And also for the word supplication, let's get Philippians. Let's grab Philippians. There we go. Philippians chapter 4 and verse 6. Philippians 4 and 6, and it reads, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and what else? And supplication, meaning that, you have to believe, be adamant, seeking with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known unto the Most High. All right. So going back to Psalms 28 and 6, blessed be Yahweh, because he had heard my voice of my supplications, his crying and sighing. And when you crying and sighing, you constantly, wanting, if you even think, even yourself as a babe, a child, when something is wrong, that's what they do. They cry and sigh until they get answered, Verse 7, and it reads, Yahweh is my strength and my shield. My heart trusted in him, which is your mind, your la'ab, your mind. And I am helped. Therefore, my heart greatly rejoiceth, and with my song will I praise him. You see? And this is what, the saints, the chosen and the elect. And that's what this is going into, singing that new song, with the names, Yahweh, YAHAWASHI, our people waking up to this truth, teaching the correct doctrine with the 100% truth, going out into the highways and byways throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching this gospel, this 100% truth that the, elect can be sealed. That's what we go out there for. All right. And also do the videos. That's how the chosen and elect gonna hear the word. It's via the internet. All right. And that's what we're doing, preaching the correct names, this truth, the 100% truth. And, the chosen elect gonna hear it and be quickened. All right. According to John 6:63. Verse 8. And it reads, Yahweh is their strength, and he is the saving strength of his anointed. And that's starting with YAHAWASHI. You can get that in 2 Corinthians 1:21. And verse 9, and it reads, save thy people and bless thine inheritance, which is Israel. That's who his inheritance is. And the promises and all those things which you can read in Romans, the 9th chapter, in the 4th verse. Feed them also and lift them up forever. You see? So, this is Israel that is speaking about that inheritance, starting with the throne of David, the chosen and elect, and the 12 disciples, and 144,000 and the great multitude on down. All right. So that's who those people are. Again, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Raha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and elect. Shalom.